survivor. I will survive. I will. A young man who was allegedly hung, or what they said that a young man who was allegedly hung, or what they said that a young man who was allegedly hung, or what they said that
I just go hard, I just go hard. And I'm a kind of fella. Put my trust in God, put my trust in God. That simple means say nobody can hold me, nobody can drain my energy, nobody can hold me. Stick.
Guys, thanks for your patience, by the way. I just had some technical difficulties and I was catching my skin to come back on. For some reason, I lost all internet, so I wasn't on. I know you guys were seeing that screen, but I wasn't on, and I was trying to figure out why I can't see nothing, why I can't hear nothing. It so happened that I lost all internet connectivity. So let me make sure that everything is everything looks good right now. Yes, we are back. What a way to start! What a way to start a Monday, though. It's not a good way to start a Monday. Yeah, start off with a glitch on a Monday. I mean, the whole week is probably going to be a glitchy week. Hopefully not. Anyway, guys, welcome to Ride Along for today. We have an exciting conversation for you today. But as you're coming, go ahead and share up the thing that I'm going to do right now. Share and say, I share. Let me do my part as well. Today we have clinical psychologist Dr. Panchoo, because God knows we need Dr. Panchoo at this point in time. God knows we probably need two clinical psychologists, but Dr. Panchoo, he comes well equipped. This man, I mean, I call him the most wanted man at this point in time. There's a lot of craziness happening. We may term as craziness, but Dr. Panchoo, with his years of experience, he could put all of this into perspective for us. A lot of stuff happening, and Dr. Panchoo is here with us. So let me go ahead and share the thing. You share the thing as well, and then we're going to bring in Dr. Panchoo and have this conversation. 718. For those of you who want to call in a little bit later, remember the number 718-701-5720. Let me go ahead and share. There we have an exciting fix this up a couple times. All right. You guys thought I fell asleep? Nah. I had a little bit of an internet challenge. Let me share the program here on my page. Lydia, how you doing? Big up yourself. Thank you so much. Everybody share. Before I bring in Dr. Panchoo, I want everybody to share the program, because there's a lot to discuss today. Gail, how you doing? Welcome. Thank you, Gail. Thank you so much, Gail. Samantha, how you doing? Thank you, Samantha, for locking it down. Thank you for sharing as well. Yeah, everybody share the thing. Share the thing before we bring in Dr. Panchoo. Sonia, yeah, if you share it once, share it again, because probably the first time that you share, people didn't really get it because they came in and they didn't see me, so they probably said, you know what? Where's this guy? I'm going to come back on. So just give them a share reminder. Elimas Gilbert, how you doing? I see you watching. Thank you so much for watching. I think I shared. All right. I did my part. Ladies and gentlemen, what is happening? What is going on? It seems like everything just is going crazy like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs this past couple of days, right? You're hearing about all this stuff. Let's start back. Let's go back a little bit. First of all, everything I think is going to be attributed to the lockdown and COVID. Everybody's blaming everything on COVID. One, there have been a drastic increase in sexual related crime among young kids, among the vulnerable population. Drastic increase, about 67% or so increase, right? Then we've seen that there have been an increase in violence, just violence in general, right? Murders, is up as well. There's an increase in suicide rates amongst our population, not only in the Caribbean, but all over. And there seem to be an increase in people just losing it. Just over this weekend, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, but there were an incident where a chopping incident, right? So this guy literally took a cutlass and like, if you guys saw the video, you see how brutal it was. And in the process of coming and trying to quell the situation, the police was on the scene, and the guy just wouldn't stop. The police end up shooting the guy, killing him. So we have one completely injured person with trap wounds all over, and one person dead. It's just like a whole set of craziness going on today, and we're going to talk about that with Dr. Panchoo. Today we saw a case, an instant. I don't know if I could play back this video for you guys real quick. This is the latest of what has been happening here. A mother, so I could pull up that video, guys. A mother, so if I could, yeah, I think I have a clip of that video. This is compliments. This is compliments Pineapple Media. So I could put this up. Yeah, this it seems like, you know, it's alleged, I should say, that a mother was attempting to drown her two kids. Right? As we speak, we don't have a motive as to why or what transpired. It's hard to understand, to wrap our heads around this situation here. Why a mother would attempt to kill or drown, allegedly, I should say, her own kids. All right, that's where we need clinical psychologist Dr. Panchoo. Dr. Panchoo, welcome to the right, sir. How are you doing? You are in high demand, and I'm happy that you took the time to chat with us. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you, Junior, for having me. Thank you, right along faithful listeners and patrons. I am doing pretty good, Junior. I'm doing really well. It's there is no question that there is a lot of tension in the air right now in Grenada. You know, so many things, so many negative things are taking front stage at this time. So I'm glad we're able to talk a little about them this evening.
Right. Okay. So let's start. Dr. Panchoo. Let's start a bit with something that I heard you said earlier today on GBN, which made a lot of sense. Let's start with the increase in sexual related crimes or incident involving kids, and the push to have the registry, right? The sex registry. Let's talk about that. First of all, tell me why do you attribute the increase in sexually related crime in Grenada? What's attributed to that statistic?
Junior, there are a couple of reasons, and I these are not speculations. These are documented in the sense that you could see trends, and when you see trends, you are able to make educated, informed conclusions. Okay, because I'm a researcher, so I believe in the scientific approach, not conjecture, not assumptions, but solid conclusions. One, I am not so sure that there is an increase in sexually perpetrated crimes in Grenada. What I do know is that there is an increase in the reporting of sexually predatory behaviors, sexual and deviant crimes against the vulnerable.
Right.
And it is so, Junior, because what has happened is that with the introduction of internet, and as wide as the coverage of social media and internet is, and there is a lot of education that has gone into trying to empower girls and women and the vulnerable. So now they feel that they have a voice, Junior. And let me say to you, even this program, your program, is a platform. It's an added way in which a medium in which people now feel empowered that they can talk. So with all of these things that are going on, what we find is that people are now emboldened to report sexual crimes. And this is not assumption. This is a fact. Secondly, Junior, um, the second piece to it is that there is what is happening now. We see I kind of warn our nation, Junior, and
Mm-hmm.
and notice how slow I went
Mm-hmm.
when COVID came, when the world literally was on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Many people were forced to live in the same environment, sometimes very small living quarters, and some of the people who were forced to live among each other were sexual perpetrators and predators. So now that the country is opening up and people are out back in school, watch this, Junior, watch this. This is really important. Children are going back to school. So now children are able to voice their hurt during that happened during the COVID and the lockdown. So what we find now is that look, the young man who was charged with 18 counts recently, a couple of days ago, it is because the child was able to confide in somebody.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So what is happening now is that lockdown is the opening up of the country and the world is going to expose a lot of heinous secret crimes that were perpetrated against people during the lockdown. So this is just the tip of the iceberg that we are seeing early this year. Trust me, there is a lot more to come. God forbid, really, Junior, we really wish it wasn't like that, but it is. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that there's not necessarily an increase in the number of sexual crime, but there's an increase in the reporting and avenues to outlet the information of this. So there's more reporting of it. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that's my conclusion, and it's based upon the trends that we see. Because I tell you something, if you look at during our time, Junior, when we were growing up, a lot of young girls were making children also, um, and nobody conjectured, nobody made a noise about it. But when we check back now and we look at it in the educated way that we look back at things, we realize these were these were sexual crimes against children
Yeah.
perpetrated by adults of power in our society, and many other things, and it never got reported because even the laws that were on the books, Junior,
Mm-hmm.
um, were not tailored. They were not meant to address all of these. Now people are getting the gumption and the strength and the courage to institute and to write new laws and enact new laws to protect the population. But we are far from being ready. I said this morning on GBN, it's we are very careless. Our lawmakers are very careless when it comes to protecting our children and our women and other vulnerable people in the population. Our laws are really careless.
Yeah, and you're so right there. We spent the better part of last week just nailing down and drilling down on so much of this aspect of things, and we concluded that a major part of the problem is the laws and the
Yes.
lawmakers. And how this legislation is really, a lot of legislation is not really there to protect the children. I know that's not specifically your area. You deal with clinical psychology, the mind and the brain. But what is in the mind and the brain of a sexual predator? We saw in a guy from Hermitage. He allegedly sexually molested a 4-year-old child. Dr. Pancho, get into his head a bit. I don't know, you know how to do these things, but 4-year-old, what is he thinking?
Yeah, Junior. If you can get an erection for a 4-year-old, if you're an adult and you could get, well, whether you're a teenager or an adult, if you can get an erection and to perpetrate yourself violently on a child, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. In Waltham, we had a case last year. Remember, the guy just was charged $1,500
Yes,
for
yes.
sexually for having the child perform oral sex on him for a period of time. That's a 3-year-old. So, what is in the mind? So, let me say this here, Junior. Generally, sexually perpetrated crimes are not crimes of the intention is not to be sexually satisfied. The
Hmm.
intention of sexually perpetrated crime is to humiliate, is to control, it's to disempower your victim.
Hmm.
Because Junior, because many adults could pay for sex where they do not have to run the risk of getting called out and imprisoned, etc. Think about it. Think about it. Okay. The story of the very well known person who
Hmm.
has 18 counts of sexual perpetration against his very own daughter.
Yeah.
Junior, if you when the story breaks, you will hear. He treated her as his wife. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, that part I didn't know that part.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You won't know that. She he dropped her off to school and picked her up. Every activity that she attended, he was there. There was no opportunity in the life of this young child to to get away, to run away. I mean, of course, you're in school and so you could do things, but he controlled every aspect. When he traveled, he broke her schooling and had her travel with him.
Hmm. So it's about power
So
and control.
control, manipulation of the person. That's how sick. So you ask me to get into the mind. No, now, Junior, there are people who have committed sexually based offenses, right?
Right.
I almost when the Law and Order SVU. um, people who people the theme song. People who commit sexually offensive crimes against society. You have some who have been charged. Sometimes they are drunk, Junior, and in intoxication they go places where the other partner say no and they don't hear no. These are not real sexual perpetrators. Okay, sometimes they use the opportunistic moments where you have sex or where you do some sexual things. You are not necessarily a sexual deviant or a perpetrator or a predator,
Hmm.
but in the mind of a real predator, and the guy who has been charged with 18 counts and others. Okay, watch
Hmm.
me. The bishop who killed Rabian, right? Who
Hmm.
who he was a predator, a sexual predator. He looked for an opportunity. Watched this little 13-year-old child, adopted her in his house, provided food for the grandma and for her, clothing, money, and he groomed her, Junior. He had sex with her, and one day when she decided she didn't want it anymore, and he took her in Point Saline and killed her. That's a sexual sadist. That's a sexual predator.
Yeah.
So what they do, Junior, is that they engulf the person, the victim, like a true predator. They
Yeah.
stalk, they do everything to control, they manipulate through words, through money, through kindness, and then they go in for the pounce, they go in for the kill, and they want that person to succumb to them and them only. There are many people in Grenada like that.
Hmm. Yeah, because Pancho, that's what baffles me, right? If they want sex, there are a lot of women that would have mature adult women that would have sex with them. Why they don't
Consensual
have
sex.
consensual sex?
You see, so Junior, that's why I say a true predator is not about consensual sex, because that you can buy for $5 or whatever it costs, and you can get that free on the street, for two carib or two stag. But but notice they go where because it's about the power, it's about the humiliation. They
Mm-hmm.
can walk around with an ego feeling that, boy, I have something, someone under my control, and it doesn't matter what age, whether it's a child, a teenager, or another adult. And
Yeah.
that's the mind of a sexual predator. And that these are the people, Junior, that we have to get out of our society and abandon them in the bushes of Grenada, on some small island in the ocean.
Yeah, you said you nailed on this thing there, and what you said was pretty interesting. Well, I was watching you this morning.
Okay.
You said that they should be isolated. Your recommendation is that they should be isolated from public buses, from churches, and let them be identified, publicly identified, not just having a list and the list just have a list of names and everybody don't work with that list, obviously. So,
Mhm.
so, explain to me your idea of, from a psychological point of view, from a clinical psychologist point of view, how could the lists work?
Watch this, Junior. I am going to reference North America and and Canada, because that's where I worked. I am certified as a sex offender treatment professional. I
Hmm.
am certified by the state of California to provide that. And for years I worked in 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 that field of treating sex offenders, working with probation and the parole board.
Right.
Okay? So here is my reference, Junior. So we are we are about to launch, and we're discussing. So it's in the draft stage, and so it's not finalized. So there is no, we can't we're not entitled to read anything from it because it's a draft, right? We
Right.
don't want to spread information that 10 2 weeks down the line is no longer there, right? But part of the mandate of a registry is to have a list of names with biographical data that the public can access. Okay,
Right.
your name, your ethnicity, your height, your color, etc., 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 date of birth. Okay, that's a registry. A registry does not have any any teeth, any power.
Hmm.
It's for information. Anybody can access it. Okay. What is going to happen in Grenada is that there is going to be this law that is going to come out, right? This is
Right.
the genesis of it, that mandate sexual perpetrators, identified sexual perpetrators, are going to have to register, and then they're going to have to report to the police station. However, whether it's once a week or once a month, and then they would be on probation for a specific amount of time, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And if you're in life, then you're probably in prison. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So this is what a registry looks like. A registry doesn't have any legal teeth. So I want to reference, Junior, what happens for a sexual predator in North America and Canada. Okay. When a person who has been charged with a sexual crime is released from prison, he receives an ankle monitor, Junior.
Yeah.
Okay? He's identified by the ankle monitor. So as soon as you see that, you know that that's a sexual perpetrator. And sexual perpetrators have the ankle monitors on a different leg than
Mm,
the rest of people who are on parole.
I see.
So if you see it on the right, you know, he's a sexual perpetrator. If you see it on the left, maybe he's just on parole. Maybe he's a drug dealer. Maybe he committed murder, and so he's on parole for a number of years, and then soon he will not have it.
Hmm.
But the sexual perpetrator, they have it on a different leg. A sexual perpetrator, Junior, not only registers with the parole board, but it is stipulated that he or she cannot live within 100 meters of a school, of another home where children abide, a church, a park, the beach. He can't.
True.
But guess what in Grenada? In Grenada, a sexual perpetrator can live in the home, in the very same home.
So what you're saying right now, as the law stipulates, if
Yes.
someone commit a sexual crime against somebody as a perpetrator, the law doesn't protect the victim by having them not reside in the same house as a person,
No,
as a
no,
predator.
no. There is no law that governs that, Junior. And Junior, I don't want to make a blanket statement because maybe that piece of the discussion we could have had the voice of someone from the Attorney General's office, right?
Right, right, okay.
Because you're right. I am not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not versed in all of the laws. But what I want to tell you is that yes, sexual people who have been charged in Grenada with rape and other sexually based crimes get to go home, Junior. They get to go home where children abide.
Mm.
They get to pick up their child from after school or another child. In North America, you dare not go close to a school. And watch this, Junior. Let's say you are in Walmart or Food for Less, a supermarket in California, and children, you see children enter and they're walking down one aisle. Junior, you have to walk away and go in a different aisle, or you have to exit the store,
Yeah. So what you're saying now, the registry has been pushed now. It doesn't have teeth. It doesn't have claws.
No,
If it
because you
doesn't have the
see,
stipulations.
because Junior, what we don't have in Grenada are the laws such as what I'm talking about. Okay? There is no law in Grenada that prevents a predator from going to Grandin's Beach on any Sunday. No
Right.
law. He could just go. There are no laws that prevent him from waiting at 3 o'clock every evening when school children get out from school and cramming on the buses for him to insert himself and sit right in the middle of them.
So he could even go and be a teacher in a preschool.
Well, you better believe it because there are no laws in Grenada that 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 look at all of these for employment.
Mm-hmm.
In North America, Junior, a sexual perpetrator cannot go and work in a regular store. He cannot work in McDonald's. He cannot. So he has to look for warehouse jobs where only boxes and blocks and wood and steel and oil
Mm-hmm.
away from people.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just preface this again, guys. You're watching Ride Along live, and we're talking to Dr. Panchoo, clinical psychologist. We're talking about sexual predators. It's our first topic, and we're also going to be talking about other things that's happening in the news. Dr. Panchoo, someone asked this question, and I wanted to pose it to you. Could a sexual predator help themselves? I mean, is it that they're so overtaken by whatever demon that's plaguing them that they can't hold themselves back from committing a sexual act? Could they help themselves?
No, Junior, they can't help themselves unless help is granted to them to create and to help rewire their brain and their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So whatever is the catalyst that spur their action. Okay? So if it's based upon trauma, if it's a chemical imbalance that they have in their brain, if it's an injury to the brain, sometimes you have injuries to your brain in the formative years. As you develop, you may have an injury to the brain, and it may affect the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic nervous system, which the sympathetic nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system, which helps us, Junior, and I'm just saying that, which helps us to have empathy and sympathy and the ability to feel what others feel. And
Right.
sometimes if that piece in the brain circulator is the brain circuitry is damaged, then you have people who just grow up to be unwantonly violent and lack the ability to feel. We call them sociopath. sometimes psychopath. Okay, and or antisocial personality we give them sometimes, depending on the nature of it. So if that happens, then functionally the brain cannot change. And so listen, Junior, there is about 27% of all sexual perpetrators who are going to reoffend.
Oh,
A 27% chance. That's what the statistics show and all the research. You read it. In other words, of every 100 sexual perpetrators that come out of prison, 27 of them are going to reoffend with the same offense. And 60% of them are going to reoffend with a crime similar. In other words, a crime that where they exert themselves and overcome people. So they might get, instead of a sexually based crime now, Junior, they end up doing a robbery with violence where they use a weapon to subdue their opponent or the victim. You understand? They may tie up somebody. So you may be in a relationship with them, Junior, in having sex, and they will tie you up and humiliate you because they of the need to overpower and to control you.
right. Right. So you basically saying because of the power and control, one, they can't help themselves. Two, is not only sexual crimes that they would most likely do, they will hold up a bank because it's about
Yes.
power and control. Hold a
Right.
gun to somebody's head and rob them, tie them up because they
Yeah.
have that control and they want that control.
Absolutely, Junior.
I
And
get
so when you see, watch this, Junior, when you see someone commit an offense like that in our society, you have to ask, has he done this before? Maybe a sexual crime or maybe a similar one, because he has maybe an insatiable need to control people.
right,
And
right.
very often, Junior, people who do these crimes are people who are sometimes bosses on their jobs,
Hmm.
because they get to push people around.
Yes, I see. Power and control.
That's
It,
what goes
it
on in the
makes
mind
sense.
of a sexual predator.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Could there, in any way, therapy? Is there any therapy that could heal that part of their brain?
Not to say heal, Junior, but rewire the brain.
Okay.
Right, yes. So what we do as clinical people, we use several methods of therapeutic intervention. One of them is what is a simple one called cognitive behavior therapy, CBT.
Uh-huh.
Okay? What we do there is to help the thinking. So we address a lot of cognitive dissonance or cognitive distortion, the way you think. So we help to reshape the way you think, the way you perceive people, the way you perceive power. Okay? And then there is another one we use a lot of times, psychoanalysis, where we try to go deep. That's deep stuff, Junior. Where
Right.
we try to go deep and bring you back to your childhood memories, so that we can try to figure out what happened during your childhood years that caused you to develop that way of a pattern of thinking.
Uh-huh.
So with help, with a lot of work, and it's very costly, Junior,
Uh-huh.
we can have programs, and that's what happens in North America. The government spends a lot of money treating sex offenders in the United States and Canada,
Uh-huh.
because they understand the danger of the thinking of a sexual predator.
Uh-huh.
And Junior, I don't know if you got it this morning, but I want to remind you, 67% of all cases that go to the high court every single year for the last 10 years,
Uh-huh.
between 60 and 67% of the cases that end up before the judges are sexually related crimes. Of every 100 cases that go before the high court, 60 to 67 of them are for sexual crimes.
That is insane.
Junior, watch this. Here is more insanity for you. There are about 400 inmates at the prison right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Well, 67% of that, Junior, is almost 300.
Wow.
Think about it. So, of all the inmates that are there right now, the 300 and something, almost 400, almost 300 of them are there for sexual crimes. And then you ask the question, are there any sex offender treatment program happening in Grenada?
That's the big thing right there, Dr. Pancho. Because
And
when you incarcerate them and
yeah,
then you release them, they go back out on the street. They haven't been cured or treated in any way for this. They just been incarcerated.
they haven't. They haven't. And that's when North America, and I believe the standard set by the United States and Canada, could play a really great role in helping us to pattern our laws in Grenada here. Because they have the institutions of caring for sexual perpetrators is well established. Okay, and there are many of us who have studied. Many people have studied in the United States, and so they understand it and they know it. It's just that now we need the judicial system, the lawmakers, Junior,
Right.
our parliamentarians, and our Senate to write these new laws. That's where the matter is, People like you and I who voice our opinion, who are adamant and vociferous in our contention to help protect. I mean, how many times do we have to relive the Ariel Bola
Mm-hmm.
and the Robbie and Jeremiah? How many times? Recently, there was the bishop or the Baptist bishop in Paradise, Now you have this young man, 18 counts with his very own daughter. How many times do we have to relive these when the laws are so lax? And what hurt me, Junior, I could always say it. I watched Bishop walk out of prison with a color guard.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he didn't live too long after that.
Mm-hmm.
But he walked out. The day he was walking out of prison, Junior, I cried because there was a parade to welcome him to freedom
Mm.
after he perpetrated for years on a young girl and then brutally killed her.
Mm.
But that's our laws in Grenada. And
That
somebody, nobody, anybody, Junior, is getting up and say, you know what? We got to fix this. We got to fix it. We got to make it right. Our children are crying out for us to save them. Our women are crying out. Somebody ought to be sensible enough. We are cowards, Junior. We are really cowards. And
I
I'm
agree.
talking to our lawmakers, huh?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Nobody wants
To bail
to,
the cat.
yeah, exactly. There's so much thing, and I had a long um monologue on this on Thursday about it.
Yeah,
They're talking about everything but what they need to do right now, and
absolutely.
it's a shame. It's a shame.
Absolutely.
Some great statistic there. Dr. Patrick, there's so much to talk about it there, but there's two other things I want to talk about as well. Right
Yeah.
here, we have another incident that happened um, in Grenada involving it's a chopping incident. Now, this one I don't understand the sanity of it, so I'll explain it to you, and then you're gonna try to explain what's going on in
Yeah.
this guy's head. So he is pelting cutlass behind another person, another human being just like him. I believe it's some in-law or
Yeah.
sorts. Pelting cutlass, chap him here, chap him there. Most of the chap wounds that the man get was towards his face, right? I could imagine blood spilling all over the place, all kind of thing. He chopping, he chopping, he chopping. Everybody crying for it to stop. Police came asking for it to stop. The man had the cutlass on the man and he's still chopping and he telling the police to back off. What happens to the humane when somebody sees something like that? They go like, "Oh my God, no, I can't. I gotta stop." What clicks? Is there anything that click in a point in time like this?
Yes, Junior.
What's
I am
hap-
laughing, Junior, not because of that. It's just I'm just reading some of the comments. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody says, the man is not a young man; he's an old bull. But I do love that. Junior, what it didn't amaze me, but what I shudder at when I got that report yesterday was that police was called. He was chopping. Police was called. Police got on the scene, and he was still chopping.
Yes. Yes. He didn't
So
stop.
it tells me that what this guy experienced is what we often refer to as temporary insanity. Temporary insanity is a layman's way of saying a dissociative disorder that is brought on by the rush of adrenaline. Okay, so watch this, Junior, how the body, I'm going to show you a secret about the body.
Mm-hmm.
Our body is made, is wired to deal with stressors, maybe a threat, okay? So if we see a threat, our body immediately kicks in, okay?
Right.
Because a message is sent to our hypothalamus, sends a message to the pituitary gland, sends a message to the adrenal gland in the back here, just below the kidney. The adrenal gland is responsible for producing adrenaline. Well, what does adrenaline do? Adrenaline prepares us to fight. Okay, like Junior, when you corner a cat, you see the hair on the back raise. Well,
Yeah.
you know what's happened there? The adrenaline. When you're about to kill a pig, right, and you tie him down, he gets extra strength because why? The adrenaline. He perceives danger. When a man or when a human perceives danger, the message is sent to the adrenal gland to produce adrenaline because why? I need to fight. I need to run. I need to fight. I need energy. Well, adrenaline is mostly glucose, simple sugar. That's why we get a rush, a blood rush. We say that, right? And Junior, in the heat of the moment, we could black out. And the reason why we black out is because of the amount of adrenaline, the amount of sugar that rushes into our system. So it is possible that while he was chopping, he got this additional rush of adrenaline and he just couldn't stop.
Wow.
He got to a point, Junior, of no return.
What about the rationale? What's it? Well, just
Oh,
rational.
no.
Kick out through the door.
Yes, there is no rationality because at that time, he's operating on what we biologists and psychologists we call the reptilian brain. Now, Junior, you can tame a crab, right?
True. Yeah.
And you know why you can't tame it? Because the crab or the snake or the scorpion, they only have a reptilian brain. They have no capacity for sympathy, empathy, and feelings. The midbrain is not kicked in. So what happened is that when a person reaches that, all he can do is to destroy. What does a snake do? Venom. What does a lion do? Eat, and kill. When a man reaches the stage of engaging the reptilian brain, there is no point of return. And sometimes, remember that recently we had a stabbing incident where the young man stabbed the young lady. I'm sure that
Yes.
what happened there was the rush of adrenaline, and he couldn't stop, until usually people stop when they become so exhausted. Because what happened? Adrenaline is a rush of sugar. The body utilizes the sugar immediately, and then you become fatigued.
So the only time that you're actually gonna stop is when your body.
Yes.
Is that the time that you really start to think and
And
rationale start to kick in?
And then, Junior, what happens now is that your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. And then you start saying, oh boy, what the hell did I do now? But I don't believe he got to that point. I believe he was killed before he got to that point. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing he got killed.
Yeah, and people were saying, I mean, you're not in law enforcement, but people were saying, oh gosh, man, they could not shoot him in the foot. And I
Yeah.
tell people, you can't really shoot somebody in their foot because
Yeah.
the foot, first of all, the foot is small. It's not a
Yeah.
big mass. Police and law enforcement is aimed to shoot in the big mass. The big mass. You can't even, it's hard to shoot somebody in the head from a distance. So the big mass, that is what they aim for. So I
Yeah.
was saying that is where they would aim, and that's where they're not
Yeah.
going to shoot to break his foot because he could get up and chop them too. So
Yeah.
I mean, it looks justifiable in that particular
No,
case.
Junior, with me, that one was a good one. That was a good outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good
Sad, but
outcome. Yeah.
for what it's worth, it was a good outcome. Guys,
Yeah.
we're talking to Dr. Pancho about the minds of human being based on what is happening right here. Someone sent me a message earlier. They said, Junior, let me tell you what's happening. The reason why we having all this problem is because we do have carnival and we do have celebration. Because check out in places like in the Middle East, they don't have carnival, they don't have celebration, they don't get on, they don't play, they don't vent out everything, and it seems like they always have some kind of conflict. But in Grenada, in the Caribbean, we always have a little carnival and we vent up all that built up inside of us, so that we don't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
But after last year, and it seemed like this year, we don't have no celebration. People ain't get a chance to play a job and do all the stuff that they need to do. So they just have all this built up strength inside of them. That is
Yeah.
somewhat playing on their mind. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And Junior, let me just read something here. My good friend, Dr. Lenny Edwards just wrote. He said, "People engaged in violent crimes. They are influenced by a combination of biological, psychological, and social factors." And he suspects that all of these will play in this case. And I agree. I agree, Dr. Edwards. Yeah. Um, really good comment there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is really a sad thing. Now we are going to touch on some other things, but I want to touch on this next one here that really shook a lot of people today, Dr. Pancho.
Yes.
And the story that I got is that somehow the mother allegedly attempted to drown her two kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, what's happening here?
Well, Junior, the kids appear to be really small kids. So a couple things, and somebody says, "Oh, well, Doctor Panchi, you need to evaluate the woman before you make speculation." But I haven't seen the woman. It happened today, and I was engaged for almost all of the day. Um, Let me say this here. Um, there is something among women, Junior.
Hmm.
Um, a mental, an emotional and mental deficit that happens in women who have given birth called postpartum depression.
Hmm.
Okay. Because you have to understand that prior birth and during the process of birth and even after birth, there is a whole lot of chemicals that are being transferred and in play in the mind and in the body of a woman, a pregnant woman, right?
Hmm.
You have a lot the production of estrogen and a lot of stuff that is going on. And so sometimes when a woman, of course, gives birth, those chemicals stay with her. It changes the body's chemistry. You have to remember that, okay?
Hmm.
You have given birth. You have now exited another human being from your body. And so it is possible that she was experiencing a chemical imbalance related to her condition. Maybe she was suffering from postpartum depression. Maybe it could just be that a combination of factors that she was really stressed out, and when people are stressed out, Junior, and desperate, they become hopeless and helpless, and sometimes they lose sight of reality.
Yeah.
And I believe that's happened there. So it could be, I don't know, it could be also, Junior, mental illness with her. It could be that she is not emotionally healthy, and so now she has two children or whatever number of children added to her state of emotional ill health. And it almost ended in tragedy today for two children. And for not just two children, but for an entire family. because I'm sure the children have fathers and maybe she has parents and other siblings. So it would have been a devastating thing. So the stresses of life, Junior, we have to remember. That's why we have to take time to find peace for ourselves and within ourselves. We have to look for the softer side of life. We have to laugh. We have to enjoy life. Um, we have to de-stress
Yeah. Yeah.
because life is, and I mean, when you look at I was driving this morning and listening to the radio, and people were lamenting. I didn't even know. They say gas price went up by $2 again. I mean, it's moved from 15 to 17 or $18 now. You
Hmm.
know, and people are still not working as they should. A lot of full-time positions haven't opened up. You know what that means for bus drivers. You would know what that means for those of us who commute long distances, and our pays are not increasing anytime soon. So it's a lot of stressors, and look at just looking at the lady, you start wondering, Junior, whether or not she was mentally well, emotionally healthy, and it could
Yeah.
be a combination of factors. But desperate people.
Yeah, we've seen a picture right now of the alleged perpetrator of that particular crime. That what happened today. We don't have all the full details of it, but we're looking at a picture of right now of the lady, and we see her in handcuffs, right, Doctor Pancho?
Yeah.
How could we treat her, or what's the form of treatment that you would propose for someone who would perpetrate something like this?
Well, Junior, she's going to need a lot of assurance and reassurance. Okay, so you have to start from the basis of getting her to trust somebody, and generally not the police, because the very first thing that happened there is that she's in handcuffs, right?
Yeah.
Right, and maybe to protect herself, because given the fact now that she tried to hurt her children, if you leave her without a handcuff, it is very likely she could open a door while the vehicle is moving and try to hurt herself, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe now the parasympathetic nervous system is kicked in and she realized the awesomeness or the fallacy of what she tried to do. It's like, did I really try to kill my children? Maybe now it's going to kick in. It's going to have a lot of guilt. So she's going to need somebody, a very tender person, a very caring person, to reach out to her and to reassure her. Not that what you did is right, but also to know that, listen, we're glad that you're safe. We're glad the children are safe. And now this is how we start working with her to help her to figure out what it is that is going on with her. If it's mental challenges, to provide her with therapy and medication. If it's a social situation, we try to provide for the children or the family, because she may be having needs that she can't meet, and because of that, people have this break in their thinking, Junior. Those
Hmm.
of us who are educated and those of us who work and we have a monthly check, we even sometimes get frustrated with the little that we have, or sometimes with the being overwhelmed with life stresses and bills. Think of people who don't have a whole lot, Junior. So
Right.
sometimes it could just break. They could just break. And I wish, Junior, that we lived in a world where we had a lot, a lot, a lot, enough to give, but not only enough to give, but also enough that everybody in Grenada has enough and nobody goes to bed hungry.
Right. Yeah. That is
Mhm.
so right. That is so right.
Yeah,
That's so right. Guys,
yeah,
we're talking here with Dr. Pancho again. Some great information. Dr. Pancho, lastly, I want to touch on self evaluation or
yeah.
evaluating your peers, evaluating the people around you. Is there any recommendation that you could tell us if someone sees someone acting a certain way, or if themselves they feel a certain way, that they could do to not even have it come to where we're seeing the situations coming to right now?
Okay, so before I answer that, there is a point here that I really, really like. Dr. Edwards is making it there too, and I see somebody else making it. Um, Junior, I believe that situations like what we had today on Grandlands Beach, there is no question that the police need to move into a sphere where we start utilizing the services of mental health professionals.
Uh-huh.
Granted, the handcuffs had to come on for her safety, and I am not opposed to the handcuffs. I'm saying I wish that there was a mental health person there to take the burden of policing and put it in the hands of a safe person, a
Right.
neutral person, someone that you can see is not in uniform, is not a police, but someone that looks more like me, that they can bond with. Because at that time, there's a lot of confusion, there is a lot of ambiguity, there's a lot of there's a lot of tension going on. And she may have a further break just being in the police vehicle, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So that's where we need to move, Junior, to the point where when police go out on those kinds of mission, that they quickly take a mental health professional with them so that they can provide that soothing, that's reassuring, and that's very positive and comfortable environment for the person to feel, somebody does care for me. All right.
Yes.
And so let's go to the question now, Junior. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we want to advocate that every person in the family or every person in the community or the world become a para professional, be able
Right.
to diagnose and to. But Junior, what I know is very, very common in society is that people often see the signs of a family who is getting who is troubled, whether it's depression, sometimes chronic depression, or clinical, we call clinical depression, or maybe anxiety. You see the signs. You may see the person is not leaving their room. For the last week, they have not even been outside in the sunlight. Maybe they have not showered in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have not eaten. Maybe they are oversleeping. Maybe you know what I'm saying? So we sometimes see the signs, Junior, and we miss it.
Mm-hmm.
So families could become a little more sensitive and ask questions. That is where you engage. And if we are in the habit, Junior, of engaging, so you engage with your son. So the moment, Junior, you see something that is out of the ordinary, and it may just be an out of the ordinary experience. It doesn't have to be something clinically significant. It just could be not today. But
Right.
you, because you have that rapport, you have that conversation always going in. When as soon as you see that and you say, son, what's up? Want to talk? You know, you create an avenue and an opportunity to engage. But
Right.
sometimes we just leave it and we say, you know him already. He just like to stay in his room. No, he's staying in his room. She is staying in her room because something is keeping her in a room. Nobody wants to stay in the room, Junior.
You're right.
He's going to bed 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock every night. Oh, that's just him. He goes to bed late. No,
Well,
he,
hold on, Dr. Pancho. That sounds like me though.
yeah, kind of me too, right? Well, yeah, yeah. Don't go to bed before 1 or 2 in the morning. But
Oh man, I probably on the verge somewhere.
yeah, so
Something bad.
but, but I'm saying, you see signs of it being unhealthy, Junior,
Right.
and you chalk it up to, oh, he is just being this. No, all of a sudden he starts eating 4 or 5 burgers at one meal, 2 3 plates of food, 2 pizza in a pizza box. You start saying to yourself, let me engage. And people feel kind of safe when you engage them rather than castigate them and call them out in a shaming way. If you engage, so when you see that among family, you see that among your peers, your workers, Junior. If you're
Yeah.
working with somebody who is always immaculately dressed and you see them come unkempt, you may let it slide for a day. But if you see 2 days,
Yeah.
now is the time to engage in conversation, because we could really be each other's keeper. We could really look out for each other. But we live in a world where the world in which we live, Junior, is generally very selfish. Huh?
Yeah, I know. I know. I
I
know.
mean, a few people reach out, really genuine people reach out, but generally, the world is a very selfish place in which to live,
Yeah.
and and I don't know how we're going to change it, but I believe it could be changed to a place where we care more for people and we look out for more people, look out more for people, but also to engage people and allow people to engage us, Junior.
Yeah. That's so true. That's
Yeah,
so true. You know, it's important, and I love having these engagements. I love having this engagement. It gives us a retrospective view, looking at us, looking at ourselves, and how we behave, and how we could sometimes see these things and notice these things even before it happened. Again, we all not clinical psychologists, but some small things, some small red flags that might come up, that might make you ask a question, engage a conversation. Because sometimes I think, yeah, I think some people just want somebody to speak to, Dr. Pancho. They just want somebody to just yell at, or somebody to just cry on their shoulders. Just somebody to just listen to them. Oftentimes I do it. I'm not a professional at this. You are the man. Sometimes I'm just on the phone, Dr. Pancho, and I'm just listening. And they're screaming and they're crying, and I'm just there, and I'm like, I understand your situation. I
very
understand.
good.
And they finish and they be like, thank you so much for all your help. And I'm like, well, I really didn't do anything. I just stayed on the phone. But anytime you're ready, you need somebody to scream at, you could call me. So that's it. Sometimes that's all that some people need.
Well, Junior, you did a lot. If you have the capacity and the ability to listen, you are doing a lot, because it's a skill that not many people have. Junior. A lot of us could talk, 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 but we don't have the capacity or the skill to listen. And
Yeah,
I agree with you. In this very stressful environment in which we find ourselves living right now, Junior, the basic acknowledgement of people is a great way to save a life, Junior. Junior,
that's,
if you really think about it, you drive the train, you ride the train, you allow nobody to talk to you, and you talk to nobody. You
yeah,
step off on your platform and you walk gingerly and briskly to your next stop, whether it's a grocery store, and then you walk 2 blocks and you unlock your door and you get inside. There is nobody else, maybe a cat and the television, Junior. Watch this. Who has told you you are beautiful? Who has told you that your hair look nice? Who has hugged you for the day?
yeah,
Many, many, many of our people are just going into one bedroom apartments, or whether it's one or two, even if you are going to a house. But when you get there, your partner or your children are at school, or somebody else, you have to go to sleep. You got to get up to go to work. Nobody sees you. Nobody hears you. The police ask, what is mom wearing? You have no idea. We live in a very isolated world. We live isolated among a lot of people.
yeah,
And so sometimes we miss people and we miss the signs that is very evident. And so we are not able to help. So all that's going on here is sometimes we're just missing the good signs, and we're not finding it. And then it becomes too late.
yeah.
It becomes too late.
And
Yeah.
I think COVID kind of capped that a bit as well, because we are family in Canada, we can't go see them. England, we can't go see them. We're cooked up in our house. Some people in Canada, they have been on lockdown for so long, and they
Mhm.
miss people. You know what I mean? I understand exactly where you're coming from. And I think COVID has put another icing on top of the cake. But I think we still could have conversations. I think we could still reach out. I think we could still be our brothers and sisters keeper by having conversations. So, Dr. Pancho, again, we thank you so much for coming on with us. Any word before we leave, word that we could leave by to make ourselves feel better?
Junior, that's a really good way to end. But I want to add before I conclude. 30 seconds. We started off by talking about sexual perpetration. It's a hard topic to kind of go back to now, but I want to because it's trending. I mean, you had this guy last week, then over the weekend, a bus driver with 4 counts, and I know this week coming again, we are going to have some more. We have to protect our children. Parents have to protect their children. Sometimes even protect them from family, Junior, from family,
Yeah.
from family. We have to watch, look out, and we have to believe children when they tell us. That young lady told somebody already, but nobody believed her. Because why? Her father was such a good father. He provided so much for her. Not one day of her life did the rain wet her because he was always there to pick her up and drop her off.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying, Junior? So her misery, we missed the telltale sign of her misery until she could take no more. Okay? That is going to break this young lady. Is going to damage her. The amount of trauma that she is going to have to live with for the rest of her life is beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
And this was perpetrated by a family, her own blood. So we want to, if there is a call tonight, Junior, I want to make to our parliamentarians, to our senators, and to our lawmakers, is to institute and to write new laws and remove the obsolete laws from our books and make Grenada safer, make Carriacou safer, make our children feel a little safer. Our children are depending on us, Junior. And through your program and the voices of all of your guests and all of your patrons, we want to echo that to the authorities. Let's not continue giving lip service and wait for another big thing, and then we do a big press conference. Let's bring new laws on the books so that when the magistrates and the judges go and you have a case, you can use the law to make people become responsible for their action. And in the meantime, Junior, man, I wish that we have a productive week. And all of your listeners, I know it's hard out there. Summer is coming. The Olympics is coming also. In a couple of days, we start the Olympics. We're cheering on for Grenada, Team Grenada.
Yeah.
We're hoping that Kirani can pull something. We have Anderson. We're hoping that he can pull something also and impress the world again. But whatever you do, Junior, whatever our listeners do for the rest of the week, man, I wish everyone a happy week.
Thank you so much, Dr. Panchoo, and thanks for chatting with us. We appreciate you all the time, every time. Hopefully we can have a conversation again. I know it was very informative to our viewers. Appreciate you, Dr. Panchoo. All right. Yeah, that was Dr. Panchoo. Always great chatting with Dr. Panchoo on these various topics. You know, when we sat off 4 years ago and said everyone have a story to tell, it wasn't just surface lip service. It really means that everyone have a story to tell. Because we really firmly believe that everyone do have a story to tell in them. Everyone have a story to tell. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone have a story to tell or should tell their story and come on and tell their story publicly. Some people can't, right? Some people cannot articulate their true emotions when they're in front of the camera. So that's why you have friends. That's why you have people that's family. That's why you have people that surrounds you, that you could share your story with. You do have a story to tell. Some people keep this anger and frustration buried deep down in their gut dread for years, and they become cancerous. They become sick, and they don't even know why they're sick. It's because of the anger and all of this stuff created acidic juices or whatever it create negative in your body, and it affect you. It affect you physically, it affect you mentally, it just affect you. So we encourage everyone to talk, tell their story. You don't have to go to a psychologist. And even if you do choose to go to a psychologist, it's fine. We were brought up to think that if you go and speak and sit down with a counselor, that you're crazy. No, it's not that you're crazy. It's because you are looking for counseling, and they provide professional services in that arena. Leo and Panchoo and all these guys, they provide professional service in these areas. And we urge and encourage people who are going through this stuff on a daily basis, or whenever they are feeling less than themselves, speak to someone. It gets pretty damn lonely, Dread, and I understand. So sometimes you have to remind yourself how amazing life is, and the people that's around you, how amazing they are. As you say, life is so amazing, right? Be there for someone, and you go see how well it makes you feel. Be there for someone, and you're gonna see how beautiful you feel because of what you provide. I sleep good at night. Me and my whole team sleep good at night because of the services that we provide here on a daily basis. And that's because we give back, we support, and we feel happy about it. That might be your calling, whatever it is. And I say, a mango tree never eat its own mango. It blooms for the enjoyment for others. So be like a mango tree. Be like a mango tree. Be like a mango tree. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being a part of our program today. We appreciate you. Sorry for the little glitch and hiccup earlier today. I want to big up one person who's checking us out right now. Her name is Chantel, and she does great nails. So today I went to the salon, and they said, you know what? Let me do your nails. And I'm like, my nails? They're like, why do I have to do my nails, right? You know. So they said, yeah, you should do your nails. And so Chantel sat me in the chair, and she started to file up and ting it up and stuff like that. And I'm a fan, because I normally cut my nail for myself. I normally just clip my nails and stuff like that. I usually don't go and do all this stuff, manicure and pedicure. I am my own pedicurist and manicurist. I do my own stuff, right? But Lord, man, when they started to file that stuff, and yeah, you know, nice. So big up Chantel. She's in Brooklyn. And when you do this kind of thing, you feel good about yourself. You know? I tell her, don't put the Q-Tex thing on it, 'cause I don't want my nails shining and thing. That wasn't the whole idea. So she put what was it, Chantel? I think she put oil. That's what it was, just oil. But all I'm thinking, they make you feel good. Make you feel good. Yeah, man. Do something good for yourself. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you guys again tomorrow. I appreciate you all. Don't forget that you could subscribe, or you should. We'd like you to subscribe to us over on YouTube. Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the YouTube link right there. And also you could check out our website, riderslive.com. That's riderslive.com. Check that out. Check it out. Also, guys, if you want to see this program grow and continue to help people in the community far and wide, you could always support with whatever you could support. You don't have to be a big amount. You just support, because that's how we do. We pay it forward, because you might be in a position where you're going to need some support, and we will be there for you. So that's how it is, right? That's how we play it. Peace out, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Your enemies, they must tremble. Yo, and when you roll, everything have to humble.
Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-3823.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food delight. Jamaican patties, light and flaky. Caribbean food delight. Taste the difference. Caribbean food delight. Grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Quick and easy, grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.